Hi, I'm the Trigger, Rich Bontrager. Welcome to TriggerSports.com once again, and we're on the road in Rochester, Minnesota. My former home and my former broadcast partner, Brad Oistad. You're a native of Minnesota,
This
too.
is home for me,
Okay.
Rochester, yeah.
The old joke in sports broadcasting and many things is if you're born in Indiana, you're born with Nike high tops on. In Minnesota, if you're born in Minnesota, you're born with skating blades.
Well,
And that really is the difference between the two of us. And today we're going to talk about hockey because hockey is not one of my areas, but it is a big sport, a growing sport. But it's also gone through a lot of changes. Brad Oistad has done high school sports for many years. And United States Hockey League, he has seen that grow from Rochester in Iowa with two different teams. So thanks for taking the time and hooking
not a
up again,
problem.
man.
Enjoy it very much.
So let's go back in time and let's talk about why your love, because you love hockey as much as I love basketball.
Okay, first of all, in the spirit of open and honesty, I can't even skate. Okay. So broadcasting sort of became my way of playing the game.
Okay.
And I've always loved hockey. I mean, I grew up listening to the North Stars when they were in Minnesota, not in Dallas. And, my love grew from there. And I got into it really by dumb chance. One of the things you never do in this crazy business is burn bridges behind you, because you never know when you're going to turn around and go right back where you were.
Exactly.
My first part-time job was board hopping, sitting in the studio and playing commercials for high school hockey broadcasts.
Okay.
I got a chance to do stats on a couple of broadcasts when the regular statistician was unavailable. And then that parlayed along with my college stuff into my first full-time job, different station. Fast forward 2 years. We'll just skip a couple of years here. Back to when I hear that the first station I was at, KWWK, was looking for a color man for their hockey broadcasts. Well, between the time I sent the tape in and got the phone call, they now needed a play-by-play guy. So all of a sudden I moved over one seat, and that was more years back than I care to publicly admit. I don't remember exactly.
Well, that's where we first met.
Right. It
eventually.
would have been, what, early 80s?
I was your board op that became your color guy.
Yeah. So that's how it kind of chose me, and from there it just became something I seem to have a natural ability for. At least that's what everybody keeps telling me, and we've just run with it ever since from there.
What's the biggest difference between high school hockey and United States hockey? Because there's not a lot of age difference, but there is a skill or a technique difference.
Well, forgetting the obvious one, that in junior hockey, the USHL, the periods are 20 minutes instead of 15 like they are in high school.
Okay.
But more than that, junior hockey is primarily kids that have graduated high school that, for whatever reason, need to work on their hockey skills a little bit more before going on to college. Okay. Every once in a while, you get somebody in this league that goes straight from the USHL. They play a year of college, they go to the NHL. Rare when you get that, but they are really special people when you get that. But primarily, it's another step up the ladder for kids that, for whatever reason, aren't ready to play college hockey.
Now, as broadcasters, talking to other broadcasters, I am a basketball, football guy primarily. I have done color, play-by-play. Your bent is toward hockey. What is the difference between the skill set you need to call a hockey game versus, let's say, football or basketball?
A lot of it is just simply terminology. And you called me on this a couple of times when I was doing both basketball and hockey at the same time, how the basketball games sounded like hockey games at times.
Yes.
Okay. It's terminology. It's, in basketball, it's the center line. In hockey, it's the red line. The arc, the circles, it's all different terminology, but you're doing the same thing. You've got the puck in the right-hand corner, they're working around the outside, okay? That's no difference than the guard, or the forward in the corner out to the guard and around the shooting arc. But it's just kind of the way you describe it. It's using, calling it puck instead of ball. It's, instead of top of the key, it's in the slot. Things like that are the big differences. It's kind of a focus thing where you have to just remember, I'm doing hockey, so you need to remember to use hockey terms.
Now, Al Michaels got his big break with the Miracle on Ice game. It brought hockey to a whole new level of amazement back in 1980 with the United States, USSR. There's been a drop off, but now it's amazing because we are in Minnesota, the hotbed of hockey, but the hotbed has shifted south. Why has the hotbed shifted out of the upper Midwest to more of a southern coastal thing?
There's a lot of things I think that figure into that. First of all, the 1980 team, of course, got everybody interested in it to start with. But we were talking about this earlier. I think a lot of it are snowbirds. The people who have lived in the Midwest and the hockey regions, who have retired to the Floridas and the Arizonas, the Californias. They grew up with hockey, so when hockey comes down there, it's not a new thing to them. It's something that they've seen before, and I think that's one of the reasons that it's just taken off. And just the simple excitement, pace of the game tends to get a lot of people excited too.
What do you think it's going to do if, in fact, Pittsburgh takes the cup? There hasn't been a major franchise pulling thing off for a long time in Pittsburgh. And then we're talking hockey being the one maybe bringing Pittsburgh back to life.
It's been a long time for the Pittsburgh fans. I think they're going to love every second of it. Sidney Crosby is arguably one of, if not the best player in hockey. I mean, you're going to get people that are going to say, no, it was Gretzky, no, it was Jagr. You're all probably right. But, it's just kind of a nice crowning touch to his career to finally say, hey, Stanley Cup champion. So I think that Pittsburgh faithful are going to enjoy that immensely when it happens, if it happens, I should say.
What would be the number one thing you would tell somebody as a young broadcaster, as we once were back in the day? What would you say is the number one thing to say as a broadcaster and a lover of hockey? Don't miss, and here's the golden nugget from Brad Oistad.
Are you implying that we're getting on in years here?
Just a little.
The one thing, I touched on it earlier. Number one, don't burn any bridges, because you never know when you're going to turn around and go right back to where you started. And don't be afraid to borrow ideas from other people. I've learned I've quit counting how many different people I've learned how to do different things, how to do some things better. My score sheets, for instance, I get yelled at for years. Every season rolls around, they're looking at me, you got a different score sheet again? Well, yeah, because I changed it to account something I picked up at the state tournament would work well with what I was doing before, so you just change it around. Yeah, okay, let's try that and go with that.
And the number one other thing is roll tape on anything you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Constantly roll tape, because you never know when your next demo, when your next opportunity will come. And we have both harassed each other for years on that thing. Rolling tape or not rolling tape is the unforgivable sin kind of in broadcasting.
Digital recording now.
Digital recording.
No, I have, he's right. I record every game I do. Some of them don't make it back to the car before I've hit the erase button. I'm not going to kid you. But, I record everything. During our broadcasts of the Rough Rider games, I play the goals back as highlights during the intermissions. So, I've got the tape running for that. And then, of course, if I hear something that I really liked, I'll archive that in a separate place so that I can go back and say, well, that might actually make decent audition material. So you've got that tucked away someplace safe for doing that. And the last couple of years, now that I've been able to do everything digital, I actually transfer all the games I do for that particular season onto DVDs and store them with the team, with the stats for the league that year. Just kind of create a little binder about yay thick with CD or DVDs in the back that have all the audio from that entire season.
Where can they hear Brad Oistad? For those that would like to hear hockey and hear it done very well and learn a little bit along the way, where can they catch Brad Oistad this time on the dial?
Once the season gets rolling again, go to ridertownusa.com, which is the Cedar Rapids Rough Rider hockey site. And there's a link there that'll take you to Fast Hockey, which is where the games are broadcast this coming season.
And one other thing I will add, if you have the privilege of having a play-by-play partner and color partner, and we've swapped hats back and forth so many times over the years, if you find that partner over the years, stick with them, enjoy it, because not everyone gets the pleasure of enjoying the type of relationship we've been able to enjoy. There's a lot of people that have been stuck with lemons, and it is true. and we've had the privilege of having a lot of fun over the years.
We have had a lot of fun. I still remember the state tournaments, the basketball tournaments, mind you. I never did get him to the hockey tournament, but that's another story. But you know, the basketball tournament, we were carrying the entire tournament. I forget, it was 2 or 3 years we did this.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where we had it down to a science. We did the first half as a team.
Yeah.
Whoever was calling the second game of the session took the third quarter off to go do pregame interviews for the next game.
Yeah.
You know, and then you jump back out for the fourth quarter. You know, but it worked.
16 games, 4 days. It's Brad Oistad, hockey, play-by-play, football, basketball, but the hockey love. Again, passion is very important in broadcasting, and he is passionate about hockey, and it shows in everything he does. So again, this is The Trigger. Got comments, got questions, do them a posting right here. You can find me on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram, and of course, triggersports.com. Thanks for the time. Thank you, Brad Oistad.
No problem.
Until next time, I'm The Trigger, Rich Bontrager.